Welcome back to Monday Night Raw. Here you see what's now become a crime scene after what transpired moments ago here on Monday Night Raw. Santa Claus was delivering Christmas gifts to the WWE Universe when Alberto Del Rio entered the arena as he normally does, but this time in his BMW, and he hit Santa Claus. He ran over Santa Claus. Ricardo Rodriguez was in absolute panic. Del Rio extremely upset over what happened. EMTs, officials, medical personnel rushed to the scene. They worked on Santa for a while. They finally put him on a backboard as a precaution. And as Rodriguez and Del Rio continued to try to explain this was an accident, trainers and EMTs and medical personnel would have to stretcher Santa out of the building. But there was a ray of hope when Santa Claus gave his thumbs up to the WWE fans here in attendance. We'll have updates on Santa Claus throughout the evening.
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, ooh yeah.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Really? Yeah!
Hello and welcome to a jam-packed edition of Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. The last Pro Wrestling Weekly of 2012, and it's almost like we got a New Year's Eve party here in the studio. First of all, sitting at the board filling in for the Starship, Matt Starship, we've got Tom Monfiletto, the self-professed bench-pressing champion here at WBCB. We'll hear from Tom in a little bit. He'll pop in on the mic as we go along here. We've also got Theo the Extern sitting in, and a blast from the past.
It's not that long of a past.
For a lot of people, it feels like it's not long enough.
Thank you.
The one, the only, Richie Blyweiss coming in to visit as well. It's a zoo here for the year in review, and a ton of stuff to talk about, as you heard in the opening clip. Santa Claus getting hit by Alberto Del Rio. I don't even know where to begin with it.
I think you're going back to the Duke the Dumpster Drosy days is what you're doing.
A little bit. I mean, yeah, exactly. I'm waiting for Balls Mahoney to come out dressed as Santa Claus and take presents away from people. It almost seems like in that level of darkness, and just all the different things. The lumberjack frost match. The 12-man tag, the 12 Days of Christmas, the Miracle on 34th Street fight.
I mean, this is the epitome of PG WWE.
A little bit, and I don't know. It has me shaking my head a little bit. And TNA, they're doing some head scratching things too. They had the bro off.
They're still around.
Yeah, they're still doing their thing.
I never knew.
What? Nothing's changed from the last time you were on.
Yeah, no.
It's rather blatantly obvious. No, they've you had Robbie E and Robbie T and Jesse going at it in a bro off.
A bro off?
A bro off. It's as it sounds. Yeah, they're kind of, I guess, playing off of the Jersey Shore thing, which I think by now has jumped the shark. That's just my guess on that. And then the continuing, seemingly never-ending feud between Chris Daniels and AJ Styles.
Yeah, I feel like that's been going. Is it over a year at this point?
It's been like 5 years.
Yeah, I mean we're well past that point.
And yeah, all of this
for either of those two guys to go to. That's the issue. Is there anything for either of those two guys in TNA to go to? Is there something?
You would think so, but I mean the whole aces and eights thing has just kind of been hanging like a dark cloud. And not really going away.
There's no end in sight for that, though.
Yeah, well, there's no end in sight, and I think that's because there's no direction as to where it's going.
Right.
That's that's certainly a lot of it. And to kind of encompass all of that, coming up a little bit later in the show, something that I normally don't advocate, but I thought, all right, in the holiday spirit, I'll at least give it a shot. Yeah, I decided to throw together a little bit of a holiday spirit song.
You did that?
Yes.
I hope it wasn't the same song that they were singing at the beginning of Raw. this week.
No. This is
pretty interesting.
It's more creative, but probably what it has in creativity, it lacks in performance value. And I dedicate that solely to my awful singing voice.
Okay, so Vince is not going to be yelling, "You're fired."
Oh, yeah, I like that.
No, there won't be any "you're fired" in there. No, nothing like that. You're just trying to milk a Vince impression out of me. That's all that was.
God, you already know me. I've only been on the show for 2 weeks, and you already know where I'm going.
Yeah, I pick up on these things quick, and thank you for throwing the real Vince in there just for comparative purposes. Go back and listen to the tape, see how close I was on that.
It's not that good. I already listened. See, that's how it's done.
Yeah, and something you've heard quite often, I would imagine, including on this show.
I've heard it far too often.
You've been fired as much on this show as George Jetson was by Mr. Spacely in the Jetsons.
But I always come back.
And so did George Jetson.
Well, until the real people that own the station find out I'm here, then I'll have to leave. That's why I parked my car facing the exit.
Oh, so that way they couldn't see your "I'm awesome" license plate?
Well, it just makes sense.
Because that isn't blatantly obvious.
You know, when Santa Claus or Mick Foley got hit by the car by Alberto Del Rio, I wish I had known in the first place that was Mick Foley, because I wouldn't have been at all afraid that he would have been seriously hurt, considering that he's been thrown off the top of a Hell in a Cell cage and had his teeth come through his face.
Thumbtacks and all kinds of.
If I had known that was Mick Foley, I don't think I would have been nearly as afraid. Neither would the rest of the WWE universe.
Yeah, I think whoever put together his Santa costume, I mean, bravo, because I didn't recognize Foley even a little bit.
Not at all.
Well, I've never seen him with a white beard.
No, is that just from the stress and aging process? Did somebody tell him to go back in the ring and it just automatically all turned white? I have no idea, but I mean, we're laughing and joking around, but I mean, this has been a heck of a year. I mean, just interesting, a lot of different twists. I mean, just looking at the titles, let alone anything else. I mean, CM Punk, he entered the year as the champ, and he leaves the year as the champ, and nobody has beaten him in between. I mean, he's now 405 days into his WWE Championship reign.
It's an accomplishment, and he deserves it.
And, I mean, in that time, he's turned away all challengers. I mean, Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, Kofi Kingston, R-Truth, Daniel Bryan, Kane, The Big Show, John Cena, Chris Jericho, Ryback.
Is there someone in WWE that is more deserving of the title right now than CM Punk? I mean, I don't know that there is.
Well, if you ask Vince, he'd probably say John Cena.
And it feels like John Cena's been the champion, and he's like the top guy. But I really don't know that CM Punk isn't the most deserving person for the belt and for these 405. Is it 405?
405 as of today.
But
I'm keeping close track.
Yeah.
I'm both a CM Punk and a Paul Heyman guy.
That makes sense.
But is that more because CM Punk is that good of a wrestler, or is it more of a lack of a character development situation on the part of the WWE? Because, I mean, seriously, other than Cena maybe, and you have CM Punk, now they have Ryback coming into the shadows, who else really is a character deserving of the world title?
Well, Cena's character hasn't changed, and that's what people, I feel, as a Cena supporter, I feel that's what people can't stand, is the fact that his character has not changed in 10 years. And
well, he stopped rapping.
Yeah, thank God. But he was, you got to give him credit. For a show that was turning PG, he really did a good job of appealing to kids and making it fun, and it made the show, it gave the shows a little bit of entertainment value back then.
Well, he also realized that in a lot of cases he's the butt of the joke, and he'll go along with that. And I think that's what redeems, that's his redeeming quality for me.
Yeah.
I mean, and despite the people who chant you can't wrestle, he can wrestle. It's almost as if he chooses not to, or he chooses his spots when to pull more than, as a lot of people call them, the 5 moves of doom.
Yeah, but But the thing is, though, is that Cena is not the most technical wrestler. He's not the guy that's going to be jumping off of ladders and all. And when he does it, it's a real spectacle. It really is a real spectacle for him, and he's actually probably extending his career by about 10 years by wrestling the way that he is.
You saying we're going to see John Cena until he's 45?
I hope so. I like Cena. You know this.
You're an army of one, I think, in that regard.
I'm still waiting for that inevitable heel turn. That's what I want to see out of Cena. I'm sorry, I'm not jumping on the Cena bandwagon until he goes heel at least one time. He has to go.
Will that make people like him?
Yes, in my opinion.
would the Cena haters turn into Cena supporters if he's a heel?
Well, I'm a Cena hater right here. This is an official Cena hater, and I'm telling you for a fact, if he turns heel, I'll like him.
I actually am very interested by that. That's actually a very interesting point. But I mean, would the kids now? I guess you want to talk kids, 5 to 10, I guess, or the real
5
Cena?
to 12, maybe.
5 to 12?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're the real Cena fans. You've got a couple of adults like myself mixed in every once in a while. But are they suddenly...
And a lot of adult females.
Adult females.
The women.
Can't blame them. But are they the ones that are then going to turn on? Is it going to be a complete flip? Because it seems like it's like a 50-50 split right now, or 60-40 maybe.
Well, being at Raw a few weeks ago when it was, for the Slammies here in Philly, I think Philly, I mentioned it last week, is one of those towns that just obliterates Cena. I mean, it was 80-20, maybe 85-15 boos to cheers for Cena.
See, and I'm at the point now in, wrestling, in my wrestling appreciation, where I appreciate a good match. I don't really get into the whole heel face. I want to watch good wrestling. I want to see a good entertaining show. Raw was a good entertaining show when it was in Philly. The Christmas edition was a good Raw. And I like Cena for his entertainment value. That's what this is anymore. It's not just wrestling. It is entertainment. Vince did that.
You enjoyed the 12 Days of Christmas 12-man tag match? You were all about the the primetime players and Santino and Tyson Kidd.
They might be one
Justin
of the worst
Gabriel,
Thank
3MB.
you. I can't stand the primetime players.
The primetime players
oh, God.
are just terrible. And 3MB, funny, but I mean, they are just 5 guys right there that really are just, let's find a way to get these guys on the show and fill some time now that we've got to fill 3 hours every week on Raw. That's what it is.
It's like they don't want to give away quality matches, so they come up with dreck like that.
It's really, they've got to find a way to build up the tag division, and really, as much, again, I am a huge wrestling fan, we all know this, but there's just too many hours of wrestling in the week. And some fans are going to yell at me for that.
Looking at the Facebook feedback, WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly, Joseph chiming in, he says, I predict Raw will go 4 hours in the new year with hour number 1 devoted to Damian Sandow and Cody Rhodes' mustache. That is a serious stash.
That's a good team, though. They are a good tag team, Sandow and Rhodes. That's a good point on Facebook, by the way.
Yeah, I've been high on Cody Rhodes for a long time. I mean, that obviously hasn't changed, although I'll admit I wasn't immediately on board with the stash.
Speaking of hairstyles, is anyone else bothered by Wade Barrett's hair? Wade Barrett's hair
I don't know what it
literally
does.
makes me angry. It
What
literally
does it
makes
do?
me angry.
It's got like a flip.
Exactly.
curl.
It kind of, what it reminds me of? You guys ever see American History X? Do you remember the main character's girlfriend?
Oh, jeez.
It reminds me of her hair. Maybe that's why it makes me angry. I can't stand him because of his hair.
I don't know. I'm more annoyed at the whole Barrett barrage. That's what irks me about Barrett's character.
Do you feel though like I mean I'm not getting off point here, but when you talk about a guy like Barrett, and we're doing this whole year in review pretty much at this point, when you really look at a guy like Barrett, who we had the NXT Nexus, that this was a guy that you felt like, man, he's gonna be a player in this game, and then it was like the Nexus was over, all the wrestlers disbanded, and he was done. They didn't have anything to do with him.
Well, there was the core for a little bit.
But that was a waste.
But that was
a waste.
And a lot of it too. I mean, most of the last. I mean, he was out for a good, 10 of the last 15 months with dislocated elbow. Right. Yeah, so that I think took away a lot of his steam. So when he was coming back, it was basically hitting the reset button on him because he'd been gone for a really long time.
Do you find a way to try and bring him in with this new rogue group that they've got happening
with
here?
The Shield?
The Shield, yeah. Do you find a way to connect him and Nexus? I mean, are they the same thing? Are they the exact same thing? A rogue group coming in through the stands, fighting off anyone that gets in their way.
Well, the difference is Nexus was 7. In this case, the Shield is just the 3.
For now.
Well,
the NWO started as 3 as well. Let's not forget that.
I think what's going to happen with the Shield is they're going to need there's going to be a leader that's going to join their ranks. That's going to give them a huge push.
Do we know who that is? Do they know who that is yet?
Perhaps. I couldn't say personally, but I feel like they're going to have a charismatic leader, kind of like how the Nation of Domination had The Rock emerge, and that's what really put them on.
Should we give some predictions for leaders, or is it too early yet?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we'll probably use next week to look ahead into 2013.
I'm going to write down my idea, and when we come back from break, we can discuss that.
That works. I mean, a couple of quick other things to look at. I know we're closing on being up against it here, but I mean, just looking at the different titles. I mean, the World Championship, it only changed hands twice, and the first of which being that 18-second match at WrestleMania, Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. And then, I mean, Sheamus had gone to hold the belt for exactly twice the length of Daniel Bryan, 210 days to Daniel Bryan's 105.
Daniel Bryan's a standout character from this year that he really has broken out of the gate.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
I like it.
Yes! Yes!
No, but now it's
yes!
no.
Yes!
Hell no.
Yes!
Oh, goodness. Craziness.
Daniel Bryan is in my mind, he might be. It's a toss-up between him and Dolph Ziggler as the characters that really broke out this year.
But now, what about the mid-card? I mean, the mid-card titles almost feel like they're just kind of there. I mean, we went from the Intercontinental title, for example. We went from Cody Rhodes to the Big Show to Christian. I mean, where has he been at this point? To the Miz, and now Kofi Kingston has it.
Well, it feels like and there is no bigger Miz supporter than me, but it feels like the Miz almost was at the top, and then it's like he upset somebody in the back. They took the belt off of him, they put him in a movie, sent him away for 6 months, and now he's starting to build again as a babyface.
And he was somewhere in the grassy knoll, too. I mean, how far do we want to go with the conspiracy theories there, Jesse Ventura?
Hey, I don't know. But I know he was doing well, and now all of a sudden he's gone.
But, speaking of the Intercontinental title, I kind of feel like Kofi Kingston is due for a heel turn. That's why we're seeing this recent level of aggression that he's suddenly been having. He's gotten far more aggressive, and they talk about it all the time during his matches. And I think it's just a matter of time before he takes a heel turn. As you can tell, I'm the guy that always wants someone to take a heel turn.
You want everybody to be the bad guy.
Well, I like the bad guy. I think you need better developed bad guys in pro wrestling. I mean, because in this age of the PG-13, the PG era of pro wrestling, I feel like the good guy has been over accentuated, and there's not enough proper heels in today's pro wrestling.
And you could argue because Vince always wants, the crowd to go home happy. He wants the good guy to, get that comeuppance in the end. I mean, even on TV where you see, where the bad guy's standing tall at the end of the show, as soon as the cameras go off, the good guy comes back, beats up the bad guy, and then everybody goes home happy. And I don't know, I guess at some point there has to be that dissonance in order to create a better harmony.
Without evil, there's no good.
But is there too much wrestling? That's what we were saying earlier. Is there too much wrestling on that they can't develop characters because they need to move quickly? They need to move too quickly now.
They're spreading themselves too thin, right. I guess. How can you develop characters if you're spending in a production meeting, 2 minutes talking with a particular individual? How do you know their personality? How are you able to
6 to 8 hours of live wrestling on or taped wrestling on every week? 6 to 8 hours, roughly?
In WWE, there's 6.5 hours of programming a week. 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown, an hour of main event, and a half hour of Saturday Morning Slam.
Okay, so you got all that wrestling that's got to move every week, and now let's factor in every 3 to 4 weeks, you've got a pay-per-view, which is another 3 hours of live wrestling. You got to figure out a way to move this, and every pay-per-view, you almost feel, or Vince maybe almost feels like they have to have some kind of a climax or some major turn in the story.
All righty, let's take care of some business here before the bench press champion here bench presses me, or maybe military presses me, or a little bit of both. Who knows? We'll take care of some business. We're going to talk TNA on the other side, which means Richie will probably be quiet for a little while.
I'm going to go in the other room. I'm going to get a coffee here still.
Just a crazy day here, and then coming up a little bit later, as I said, the holiday tribute song, parody song, however you want to look at it. Don't criticize, don't hate. Please enjoy it. If you enjoy it, next year I'll come up with a couple more, and if you don't like it, I'll come up with 38 more. All ballads. Yeah, that shut some people up out there. All right, this is Pro Wrestling Weekly. We'll get to the phones and Facebook feedback as well. A crazy show here with Richie in studio. Theo the Extern. We've got Tom Monfiletto running the boards here. It's a whole amount of wildness to end the year. I guess I wouldn't have it any other way. You're on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.